At this pivotal time of humanity's evolution, we are beginning to remember our organic technology. A technology, when used correctly, can create an experience that the majority of the people the world over want to live. It is time to use this technology consciously for our own benefit and healing, and no longer unconsciously for our own demise. We are multi-dimensional creators, creating both our own personal experience and our collective experience moment to moment. We invite you to join us as we reawaken this technology through experiment and experience our power to create and manifest.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. This is now the Collective Imagination Show. You may be forgiven for getting confused, but it's me for 4 hours today. So hopefully some of you have hung around from the One People Show. Looks like you have in the chat room situated over at lisamharrison.com. There's quite a few of you still there, so thank you for sticking around. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
I wasn't here last week. You went ahead and did the show and had a great chat about energy. Mm-hmm. Can you just recap a little bit on that one for me?
Sure.
So I know what you talked about.
Basics of who and what we are as being consciousness and not dependent on form. And by that I mean not only are we not the body, but we're also not what we call the soul, which is our various energy bodies that fuel everything, that we come from nothing and we exist as pure sense of self, sense of awareness. And I describe what this reality is, which is basically a fixed range of interpretation of vibration. So we have 5 senses. They are geared to sense a certain range of vibration. Anything above or below that doesn't get processed. And we're in density, which means that the vibrations that we are aware of are very compressed, a lot of energy in it. And that the main difference between this body and the other bodies that we have is we haven't mastered this body yet. We don't own this body. So for all the listeners, or for you, or for anybody that's had an out-of-body experience, you know that when you're in that astral form, or that angelic form, as I call it, you feel every particle, every atom and molecule is being permanently fused to your mind. So we have ownership of that body, so we can levitate, fly, shapeshift, walk through walls, whatever we want to do, because we own that body. This body is an opportunity, this experience on Earth, to have a greater level of self-realization. So the body's like a training tool. And when we start out, we have enough presence or enough consciousness fused to energy to robotically control these bodies through the nerve fibers. We can everything works through mind and through imagination. So if we want to move this body, we move our spirit form, which is attached to this body, and it creates just enough energy to send a little electrical signal through the nerve fibers, which ends up causing muscles to flex. And then I talked about how when you do proper energy practices, grounding enough of your presence into your body, that your soul, your presence begins to swell past the nerve fibers, and you begin to feel the atoms and molecules in your body as being a part of yourself. Not only that, but you begin to expand into the air and into the ground. And so from there, we talked a little bit about how your ability to manifest here becomes greater, because you're able to influence more, than just what's going on internally. And then Mark came on, and we talked a little bit about time and the 2 different ways that works, linear time versus 5th dimensional time. And then we did a meditation.
Did you focus again on what we've been doing in the past with media, financial?
Not specifically the meditation that we
What
did.
else have we touched on? CERN.
We did a much more basic meditation where we got all the listeners to just feel the group soul essence and being connected to source energy. So I wouldn't say that we didn't touch on those things, because whenever
I have to tell you,
go ahead.
Yeah, go. No, I finish your thought.
Well, whenever we combine like that and enter into that type of state, it always has an impact on the world around you. So whatever feelings we hold within that are always going to mold and shape your experience in some degree. So I wouldn't say that we didn't, but we didn't target any specifics.
Okay. I just came out of 2 hours on the One People show, and we had an amazing conversation that went into a lot of different places. And one of the things that we talked about was CERN, in terms of it being a portal, and that there is another matching or corresponding portal in another realm that it is attempting to line up with. That its function, if I'm trying to recap what was said, but its function essentially is to bring these two realms or dimensions together, to collapse them into one. That it won't work was the consensus. And I just wanted to, from your perspective, get your view on is it possible, and what it would look like if it is, if the dimensions that you know of all kind of collapsed into one. What happened? And is it possible? And whether we're talking about, how can I say this? Like Duncan explained his view being that there are realms or dimensions above and below this one. That's the easiest way to put it. And that what they try to do is connect the base and the top and sort of bring them all in together at this point where we are. That's my understanding of what he was saying.
Well,
is that possible from what you understand?
From what I understand, it's a misconception that there's realms below this one. This one is as far down as you can get. The whole idea of realms being below this one comes from people explore these when they go out of their body. When you go out of your body, you're going up and out into lighter energy, which operates in a different harmonic. So within that lighter energy, it's all upper. There is below and above. From all I've seen, there is no below this one. This one is ground zero. But once you're out of body, you can go up and down, and it may seem like there's realms beneath Earth, but they're spirit realms. To have a realm be beneath Earth would mean that there's worlds that are more physical, more real than this one. And when I go down, when I'm out of the body, when everybody else goes down that I've talked to when they're out of the body, they're spirit worlds. They're not physical, real, density worlds like this one. As for the other part with, okay, so if a group builds this device, CERN, and they've got, or devices or whatever, and they've got plans, anytime a mental construct is created like that, it makes a parallel where what they want to achieve succeeds, where it works, simply because they believe in themselves enough. Well, it only takes a tiny bit because we're creators. Anything that we thought form or believe in gains an existence, a real existence, not as real as this world, but still real. And by that I mean real, not real. That's digital. Things don't work digitally. It's analog. Everything is real. If it can be imagined, then it's real. It's just how real is it? And that's dependent on the compression of energy. So if a group comes together, makes devices, makes plans, then automatically there's going to be a realm where what they want to achieve succeeds, where it works out. And naturally, due to their own desire, there's going to be a connective cord, which is their attempt to ground that here into reality. I don't think it's attached in that way to each and every individual. If they were able to collapse that down, then they would end up experiencing that parallel for their own self. Whereas those of us who hold a different idea construct that we are grounding into reality would just shift from their parallel smoothly and seamlessly. That's how I've seen how it works. I've crossed parallels. I mean, I crossed parallels to get here. Here. Where's here? I mean, here is what I am, what you are. So, I know that we're shifting all the time through probability and possibility. We're grounding it into reality. I left a reality a little bit ago where the North Pole ice decreased, and then I did some shifting, and next thing I know, the North Pole ice increased. And same thing with the South Pole, and I find as we work on these things, as you understand how reality works in this way, that you can begin to shift. I've got a student in my course that's went through some very profound experiences when I went through my boom period, as I like to call it, of last summer. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that, unfortunately, I'm not going to take the time to explain it. But for those of you who do, he was attached. He's like close to me. And so he experienced it too. Like he got thrown right into the thick of it. And he crossed parallels like big time. Like he had a favorite childhood band that stopped producing albums when he was 19, and he was consciously shifting through timelines. And he made a post about it in avatarenergymaster.com, my school, where this band, where the parallel he left, they stopped producing music. Well, they kept going in this earth that he's on now. He's light-based, which is different than me, which means he's more visual, able to see things, but doesn't hold as much energy, as much essence within his being. But that's not better or worse. Each has its own benefit, but he's more able to see what it is that he's traversing through. And he consciously leaves timelines and goes, that's how he got here. And I believe him because I've done it too.
Holy the other day. Okay. I don't. Well, now, hang on. Now that you say that, you're reminding me of an experience in 2011 when I woke up and knew that timelines had split, and felt definitively that I was in a particular timeline. Okay. If I'm still trying to have a visual, get my head around everything that I just talked about over the last 2 hours, and what this could actually look like. We knew the timelines were collapsing. It's again the Fibonacci sequence, the spiral. It's like if we're not in it, we're so close to being to the center point, the 0 point. And Thomas Hughes also just joined us, and he said something that you triggered as well just then. Was he says we're getting to the point where we need to choose who and where we want to be. That time is coming. he believes that this reality is going to disappear altogether. This one of duality. And you're always talking about how we're actually coming into this reality even more. We're sort of grounding, we're bringing more of ourselves in, we're grounding in this reality more and more. Are we going to surpass it, break through it?
Yes. I mean, inevitably, it's only a matter of time before we have enough presence, or what I call soul mass, to where everything is a mental construct. Everything is created and dictated by mind. And mind has many levels. When I say mind, I'm not talking about the brain. I'm talking about consciousness and the electromagnetic waves that it produces. This body is an idea construct that was created by an essence that is greater than our own. You could call it source, you could call it God, you could call it Gaia. I really don't care what you call it. Just that it's greater than our own. And the evidence that I present for that is that we are embodied within this thought, because that all things are created by thought. Yet this thought is so much greater than our thought that we can't override it yet. It's like a training tool, like a gym, like a bodybuilding mechanism, if you want to use those terms. So it's inevitable, though, that one day we will gain enough conscious presence within this structure to where the amount of magnetism and electromagnetic force that our minds hold will be more than the body. So I'm saying that our body is a mind, and it was thought formed by a creator. It has intelligence, it has its own pattern, it has its own system of beliefs, and currently that pattern, that system of beliefs, that intelligence is stronger than our own. Thus we have to eat, thus we have to sleep, thus we can't heal instantly, we can't walk through walls or do whatever we want, because our mental consciousness does not have enough electromagnetism to cause our physical cells to bend to our will. It's only a matter of time, though, before we evolve beyond these bodies, at which point we gain ownership of them, at which point the electromagnetism of our thought becomes more than the physical cellular structure of our body. Now, however, we could decide through free will that we've had enough, that we're just sick of it, and you know what, maybe we'll obtain that a million years from now, or whatever that means. I mean, time-wise, free will is in operation. We could decide that enough, we just had enough, and we don't care to grow anymore right now. We don't make those choices from the ego, though. We make those choices from our soul perception. I personally think we're right on the verge where knowledge of spirit, of soul, of the mobility of consciousness is becoming available to the masses through myself, through my work, through the work of other teachers, where we can prove to people that consciousness is real, that the soul is real, that we have presence beyond our bodies, that we can influence things. Like, that's huge, because currently we live in a dead world, where the masses, they don't believe in anything that the five senses can't prove. Well, there's people that have grounded enough presence into their body to where they can prove to people through the five senses that more things are possible than what they thought. So it's really only a quick matter of time until that becomes mainstream. And who cares who the implementer of that is? It will become mainstream, and once people know these things are possible, then everybody's going to be working on it. And, we need a kickstart. We need a new motivation.
The sense of anticipation has been building. So, sorry, you cut out and I thought you'd finished. The sense of anticipation has been building so considerably in the last 3 years in particular, since December 2012, but obviously there was build up to that as well. It's almost gotten to the point of a manic anxiety within the collective. You know, like it's been feeling like something's about to pop for so long. And that feeling just continues to build and build and build to the point where it's pressure, you know. It's opening up on the computer thing. I don't think that we're collectively about to give up, although I think there may well be elements or powers at work trying to go push us in that direction. But I don't think that's where it's going to go. And we're about to pop through something. We've got to. Now, whether it's because this reality just breaks down, whether it's we break through it, whether it's we gain absolute control of these bodies, whatever it is, something's got to pop. And if it doesn't, no, it is. It is actually. It already is, really. It's popping all the time. It's like popcorn, just sort of little kernels all over the place. Yeah. So maybe the idea of a single solitary event that we've heard a lot about, where it's just one big bang, isn't quite as accurate as more the popcorn concept.
Not accurate at all, because the thing that isn't taken into account is sanity, stability of the consciousness. Okay, pain isn't real, death isn't real, spiritual insanity is. You awaken a soul too quick, you give it too much too quick, it goes crazy, it starts manifesting hell. Reality comes from the inside out, but we're protected from that a little bit here. Well, not a little bit, a lot. In regards to having a consensus reality, those are training wheels for our consciousness. Now, it's very easy for us to go, okay, I can create whatever I want, I can change whatever I want, go forwards and backwards in time, mix and match, and oh, that sounds great. Well, great until you actually experience it. I mean, it's actually scary as hell. It's one thing to do something out of your body, and I did the quotes because out of your body, I mean, that's a huge one, but there's really no such thing. The out of body experience is departing from consciousness. Anybody that knows, that's done crap loads of out of body travel, knows that yes, these realms are real. Yes, you're real there. Yes, you are aware. You know yourself as yourself, but you're not as self-aware as you are here. It's not as real as this is. You're not as focused there as you are here. They're not as real. So you can do things there that you would never be able to do here, because it's like you're drugged. The same way if you go to a party and you're shy, and at first you're unable to socialize, but you have a few drinks of alcohol, and the next thing you know, you're willing to talk to whoever. Or if you're a person ridden with anxiety and a doctor gives you a prescription of Valium, and next thing you know, you're okay. Well, it's the same reason why we're able to perform these great feats of consciousness when we're out of our body, because your consciousness is diminished. It's like you're high. It's like you're drugged a little bit. So, oh, yeah, travel 300 years back in time? Sure, no problem. Walk through that wall? Yeah, why not? Sounds good. But you do that here in this level of focus, and it freaks you out. It freaks you out. And I know, because I've done some pretty extreme things, and when they hit, I've got a video on it on my YouTube channel where, I honestly told people, when I hit these levels where I can actually travel through time in the physical body and I feel the amount of energy required to do it, my first reaction was, well, you know what, I don't want to ascend, screw it, I think I'd rather just die or go back to sleep, or, it's incredible to hold that level of energy, that level of presence, and to be okay with it. So everything works. There's an intelligence, a very loving and patient intelligence that is the prime operator behind the scenes. I don't care what anybody says, that's the truth. And it controls the light and it controls the dark, and it all works for the greater good. Ding! Did you hear that ding? I mean, that wasn't a coincidence. Right after I said that, I'm gonna take a pause.
I'm just gonna share some things that are in the chat room with you. A question: are we the only physical reality?
I answered that a little bit on the last show, because I have had one experience that broke from that. Like, I've had thousands of out-of-body experiences. Thousands, probably like 3,000. I can't even count. And everywhere I went, I was basically just with my level of presence, because I'm here from Earth, a god by comparison. And they were flimsy and insignificant realms. Like, it's dangerous for me to even be there, because if I breathe the wrong way, the skies start raining ice. And so those were, okay, how do I? Okay, physical is an interpretation. It's a vantage point. The only difference between a physical realm and a light realm is if consciousness has mastered that level of energy. So there's tons of physical worlds, but physicality is a perception as to whether or not consciousness has mastered that level of energy. Am I still on? Hello? Lisa?
I'm back. I'm back.
Yeah, where did I get cut off?
It wasn't you, it was me.
No, the whole thing went wrong, I think. I could be wrong.
Oh, did it?
It seemed like it. I think, like, what I was about to, yeah, the whole thing went out. What I was about to say is not to be said. That's why things like that happen. It's possible, but you got to understand that physicality is a perception. It's not a fact. The only difference between a physical realm and a light realm is if the beings in that realm have mastered that density of energy. So I've been to countless worlds where, to me, it's a light world. I can do whatever the hell I want. Yet the beings that populate that world, if you cut them, they'll bleed. If you break their arm, they're screwed for a month. If you, not that I did, but I'm just describing. They're physical. To them, it's physical. To me, it's light. So it's a perception. So okay. Yes, I've been to. No, I haven't. I mean, the densest realm I went to was a Pleiadian world, and these were the Pleiadians. They were pretty shocked that I made it there. Well, not. I mean, I wouldn't say shocked, but this was their physical world, and I levitated and did some things. And I'm like, "Can you guys do this too?" And they're like, "No, we can't. This is our physical world. Like, usually humans only meet us in our light worlds." And I was like, "How come I can?" And they said, "Because you're bridging the energy of two bodies at once, your human body and your Pleiadian body." So that was, the world had some density to it. It had some weight, but I've never been to a world outside of this one where I don't have ownership of the body.
Okay, well, we're only going to do a 1 hour show today, so we need to move on to our collective meditation. So are you feeling inclined to go back and reinforce what we've done already, or based on if there's anybody in last week's show here in the chat room, and I think there are a few, would you like to come together as a group with a focus on that? So if you could put a couple of comments in the chat room, that'd be great.
Yeah, go ahead and do that, guys, and I'll take your opinion for what's right. I've been fasting and detoxing for 6 days, so I'm not sure if I feel like transmuting negative collectives right now, but we could either talk energy some more or do a meditation where we as a nice, clean group. I mean, next week I'll be back to my spiritual warrior self, but right now.
Well, actually, is there anything we can do? Because this came up in the last show too, the One People show, that clearing us of any unconscious or conscious contracts.
Damn right. The
Can we do
moment you
that?
said that, my air conditioning kicked on.
Okay, let's just, yeah.
We can cool off. We can remember how it works. We cannot let ourselves get attached overly to cords. Like, reality comes from the inside out. When you allow yourself to believe in something, it makes a cord, which gives the possibility of grounding it into your own personal sphere. I can say through all the years that I've done this, whatever you can see, hear, taste, touch, feel, and smell, that's all that is. That's the summary of all that is compressed into a very personalized experience. What we're sharing right here, right now, through the internet, through the phone, through the mail, these are physical representations of fourth dimensional interaction. It's not that we live on Earth, it's that we are Earth. I'm Earth, you're Earth, every person listening to this show is Earth. And each of us are holding our own Earth. And there's infinite Earths. The similarity of the idea construct that we hold is what holds us here in this seeming cohesion. But we haven't formed a permanent Earth yet because we haven't enough haven't come together of the full understanding to create a bridge of consciousness. And by the time we form a fully fixed and set crystallized Earth, each one of us will know ourselves as being the entire thing, and we will be a collective consciousness. That's what I mean. Like right now, we're shifting. We're making up our mind. And the way we did the meditations before, those are good. What I'm going to help us all do now, that's good too. It's all symbology. It really is. If we see stuff and we choose to believe in it, then it's got to be cleansed, and there is a certain amount of realism to it because we're not always in that source level consciousness where we're rapidly shifting through parallels. So I'm not invalidating the world that we see through the phone, through the internet, through the TV, and all of that completely, but it's secondary to what's right in front of you. And if what's right in front of you is good, then, well, guess what? You're doing good. And nothing can intrude, not when you know who and what you are. So the way we did the meditations before, that's great, that's stellar, and they're solid and they work. And what I'll present today will work as well, and we'll it's the same thing. I'm really not going to do anything different except that we're not going to invite. We're just going to go deep within and radiate instead of draw things in for transmutation.
Okay, let's do this. Biggie, I'm going to go off camera. Just giving you a heads up. And Michael, this is all yours, so lead the way.
Okay, as always, you want to have your feet about shoulder width apart, your hands resting comfortably either at your side or in your lap. You just don't want to have them crossed. Take a few deep breaths. Now we want to straighten our spine. We all tend to be hunched over, so I want you to be exaggerative. I want you to stick your chest out. hunch backwards until you feel a nice flow between the top of your head and the bottom of your spine. Okay, now we're going to go into a heart-based consciousness, which is different than head-based, like quite a bit different. From the throat up to the head, we have conceptualization of sound and sight, which is where all of our ego-based thoughts come from. So what am I going to do next? What does this person think? What does that person think? What does this mean? What does that mean? Visuals and visuals, that's all time and space related stuff. That's far departed from the source. When you drop your consciousness down into the heart, sight and sound cease to exist. Only emotion and sensation exists at that level. And emotion and sensation is the source of all sight and all sound, as you'll see when you drop into these greater levels of energy. So if you think thoughts, don't chide yourself, just ignore them, just let them float off like little bubbles. Go ahead and close your eyes. Now, you can feel your head, you can feel your cheeks, you can feel your forehead. Some of you might even be able to feel the space between your ears. Actually, I can feel that a good amount of you can. You can also feel your chest, and you can feel inside of your chest. So obviously, consciousness is present in both places. So you simply take the presence that you have here in your head and shift it to be down here, to where there is no more head. You can use a visual if you wish. My favorite is a frying pan. So your chest is like a warm frying pan, your head is like melting butter, and just drip, ooze down into your chest. And when you do, you're going to find me, and you're going to find the group consciousness. You're going to find every listener that's currently there, because in this place, we are one. In this place, we are one. All of the multiplicity, every character, every personality, every incarnation, these are all products of sight and sound. Before all of that began, there was one consciousness that wished to experience itself as multiplicity. So if you can drop your consciousness down to that level, you now reside in the place of unity. You are now one with the one creator. So drop down. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm going to span the gap. I'm so comfortable with this, I've done it so many times, that I can bridge and be in ego consciousness separated, as well as being group consciousness or oneness or God or whatever you want to call it, all at the same time. Because of that, I can branch out a little bit and find you guys that are close and help magnetize and draw you into the source. So I'm going to begin to do that. Just relax. Whatever sensations you feel, I want you to validate them. Free will is always in operation. So if you feel a slight sensation like butterflies in your stomach, or an itch on your scalp, or tingles in your throat, and if you go, well, I don't think that's the energy, I don't think that's the meditation, well, guess what? That's your right to believe so, and you just shut off channels. If instead you go, well, that's it, it's working, that's the energy, let's roll. Well, guess what? You're opening channels. So source or God, or the one creator, is going to humor you or oblige you, no matter what you're willing to believe. So if you wish to go deeper, I suggest just trusting what you feel. Okay. Wow. I can feel the group energy, and it feels really nice. So from here To show the presence a little bit more, I'm going to begin to rock to the left and to the right. And you may feel me moving through you. And that's because I'm spanning both consciousness at the same time. And that we're all located in the same point. Space and time are mental constructs. We interpret through the brain variance and vibration, and we paint a picture of space and time. So a slight difference in vibration tells you that you're in Norway or that you're in Australia or Japan, but the pure truth is that we're right on top of each other. There is only one place, and you're in it, and you always have been. Everything else is a mental construct. Now I'm going to move forwards and backwards. And now I'm going to rest and go back into group consciousness. From here, I'm going to start to magnetize us as a group and draw everybody closer to Source. Remember that time is a perception. It's an interpretation of vibration that we achieve this linear series of events. So I'm going to magnetize on the time wave and pull us as deep and close as possible to the Source where it reverses and time begins to come out of you. Because I want as many of you to see that you're in control of this. You are an avatar of Source consciousness. Don't accept any step down from that. You are the Source experiencing itself as a brand new perception, and it is your right to experience it the way that you choose. The only thing that is preventing you is the lack of ability of the ego to bridge this gap. And myself, I'll humbly admit, because I have not fully bridged that gap. I've just tasted it, and many times. Let's compress. Once again, whatever sensations you feel, if you question them, you're going to shut off channels. If you validate them, you're going to open them wide. Now from here, I want us all to just let go. And that's a lot easier said than done. But just let go. Feel. Don't think. Feel. And within that feeling lies the source of all the events you will ever experience. Nothing ever happens. You will never, ever see a sight or hear a sound that did not first come from within you. And the gateway to perceiving that is through shutting off the head, shutting off the ego, going into heart-based consciousness, into emotion and sensation. And then you will see that everything is an echo of the emotions that you're radiating. Within emotional energy is an intelligence that is far vaster than anything the ego can contrive. Anything. Within bursts of emotion lies mathematical formulas, movies, works of art, books. You wouldn't believe how much information is contained in that level of compression. So the more you, as consciousness, are willing to accept your own emotions and sensations as being the greater level, the more you'll come into this creator level of consciousness, which is joyous, which is innocent, which is 0 point, where all things spring from you. Now from here, I'm just going to go a little bit quiet. I've been on a 6-day fast and body detox, and the previous meditations I was a lot more specific, but I've barely got any head to work with this week, guys, so I apologize for that, but everything happens for a reason, and I'm sure this meditation is going to touch some people in some very special ways. So if you have something that you need for yourself, if you have healing that you need, if you have an event that you need manifested, a new job or whatever it is, a new partner, a new friend, whatever, bring that within. You don't need to visualize the specifics. That's actually contrary. You need to hold the feeling of what it is that you need and put that in the center of your chest. Nothing more, nothing less. And while we continue to hold this group energy for about another 60 seconds, just put the feeling of whatever it is you need to manifest in the center of your chest, and the entire summary of the group energy is going to aid you in this. I go quiet now. Okay, now while we're all still in this group energy, I want you to just contemplate what you feel and decide if you love it. And if you do love this feeling, this energy, I want you to realize that you love me, you love Lisa, you love the hundreds, thousands, I don't know the exact number. It's all feeling of listeners that are here because we are family in this very moment. And I want you to do a group hug, which is from the soul level, it's 360 degrees inwards, squeezing and supporting. Beautiful. Thank you. So nice, and that's what it means to be family. That's what it means to be one. It's not a. It is what is. Everything else is just a false ego illusion. So, thank you guys. You can open your eyes and come out of it at your own pace. Thank you.
Before we do, Michael, is there anything we can add in terms of clearing contracts, clearing ties, cords, something a little bit more specific to that?
I already broke from it, but where we went is free of all of that. The whole idea of ties and cords and contracts, that's throat and head, sound and sight. When you drop below all of that, you enter into an energy that comes before all of that. So whatever feeling you hold within that space, starts to become the events that you experience. So if you hold anxiety, or if you hold fear, or things like that, then that results in cords and contracts and things. Like, it's an ongoing process. Like, every moment, whatever you're feeling in every moment creates those cords and everything, which was sort of like what I was saying at the beginning before I started the meditation. The way I was going to do this meditation is quite a bit different. They're both very effective, though, and I'm not going to label one as superior to the other. There's power in acknowledging the reality system and working within it and using magnetism and force to change it, which is what we were doing before. And there's also power in disbelieving it, just like moving into a place where it's beyond all of that. Both are very effective and ultimately the same thing.
Okay, thank you. It always feels nice to be in that space. Very nice. And I really felt that group hug. It was gorgeous.
Oh, me too. It started just crystallizing from like diamonds. Going, nice.
Yeah, really nice. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. We've reached our hour. That went quick. Thank you for sticking around after the One People show. Many of you did. Some new people in the chat room. I hope you enjoyed that. If it was your first live meditation with us for the Collective Imagination show.
Yeah, normally we do an hour and a half, but I've been on a 6-day fast and detox, so I requested of Lisa that I could be let off the hook a little bit.
So and I was happy to comply with this new programming schedule, leaving me 4 hours straight of being on air.
You're a soldier.
A soldier, yeah. Okay, well, thank you. That was great. I will see you next week, Michael. And see everybody in the chat room. Have a wonderful, amazing week. Hold that connection with everybody. We're all here for each other. We're all in that space together. And love you all. See you next week.
Thanks, guys. Love you all. Bye-bye.